The story of Harvey J. Weinstein is a pretty crazy case with a twist that I wasn't expecting at all. And no, I'm not talking about the Hollywood movie producer who is famous for completely other reasons. I'm talking about Harvey Weinstein, who was the head of the biggest tuxedo manufacturer company and was called the Tuxedo King during the 1990s. Harvey J. Weinstein was born in Brooklyn on February 14th, 1925. When he was 18 years old, he enlisted into the Marines and saw action in Iwo Jima, where he served as a machine gunner. After his time in the military, he attended and graduated from the University of North Carolina in 1948. He returned home after graduation to work in the family business. During the 1940s, Harvey's father, Emmanuel, started the Lord West formal clothing store in New York. Harvey would become the chairman of the company, and by the mid-1990s, the company would become one of the largest formal wear manufacturers in the country. It's estimated that the company produced over 100,000 tuxedos a year. It wasn't uncommon for Harvey to socialize with his employees. He was well liked by them all, as so he thought. If anyone needed anything, he was the first to offer. The business was actually doing so well that Harvey was planning on doing an expansion, which led him to take out a $3 million loan. On August 3rd, 1993, Harvey stopped by his favorite diner as he does every morning to eat breakfast. He was leaving after finishing his meal. He walked toward his car when two men approached him at knife point and shoved him into his own car. Harvey attempted to plea with the captors by offering them money and other possessions he had on him. The captors had their eyes on a bigger prize. After all, they were holding the Tuxedo King of New York. The individuals moved Harvey into an underground hole, which was approximately 14 feet deep and 5 feet wide. The hole was covered with a large metal plate, sticks, and dirt. The family immediately had grown concerned once Harvey failed to show up at several planned events. They immediately began to look for him and retraced his steps, but there was no sign of him. The diner did say that he was there that morning. Later on that day, his car was located and reported to the police, who grew suspicious after they determined the car had been wiped clean of fingerprints. It wasn't until the next day when a phone call came into the Lord West store. A woman called stating that she was with the Black Hat organization and they were holding Harvey for a $3 million ransom. The police immediately found it suspicious that the ransom was the exact same amount of the loan Harvey had taken out. This caused the police to look closely into the employees at Lord West who knew he had received the loan. However, there was no inconsistencies within the company and all the employees showed up to work the next day. Harvey, meanwhile, was still being held captive. The 68-year-old man attempted to escape. However, he was unable to move the heavy metal slab that covered the hole where he was being held. After a few days, the family received another phone call from the same woman requesting $1 million in $50 bills and $2 million in $100 bills. She also provided a drop-off location. The family assembled the money and drove to the location. However, no one showed up. The demands and scheduled meetings continued for another few days. However, they never showed up at the locations to pick up the money. Eventually, at the family's request, the captors allowed Harvey to call the family, providing that he was still alive. The family knew they needed to act quickly as Harvey's voice sounded distressed. A couple days later, the family received yet another phone call instructing them to meet at a park. Harvey's son went to the park with the money, and eventually a car pulled in and a man approached Harvey's son stating that he was there to pick up the ransom money. Harvey's son gave him the money. The police followed the individuals in the car and eventually pulled them over. The individual, Furman Rodriguez, was a well-known employee at Lord West. The police then searched his apartment while he was at the police station. Eventually, Furman told the police that Harvey was being held in an underground hole. Initially, the police were reluctant to believe him, but eventually had Furman lead them to the hole where he was being held. The police eventually found the metal plate and sticks with dirt covering the hole and moved it aside to uncover Harvey alive. In total, Harvey spent a total of 13 days in the hole, surviving only on water and bananas. According to the police officers, the first thing Harvey did was take a couple deep breaths of the fresh air and then asked for a cigarette. Harvey would later state that he relied heavily on his time in the United States Marine Corps to help him survive the ordeal. Additionally, he stated that he felt very betrayed and really really hurt to know that it was one of his employees. Harvey had died in 2007 at the age of 82. It was determined that Rodriguez was the mastermind behind the abduction. He recruited his brother Antonio to abduct Harvey and his girlfriend Leonor to place the calls. The three were found guilty of the crime. Furman received 20 years to life. His brother received 15 years and was released, then deported back to the Dominican Republic in 2008. And Leonor was sentenced to 12 and a half years to 30 years and was released in 2010. Alright, you guys, hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and until next time, bye.